So we're looking at elements of poetry. By elements of poetry, we mean those resources, those tools, and concepts that are related to poetry. Elements of poetry refer to the resources, the tools, the concepts that are related or germane to poetry. When you are discussing poetry, you have to use the technical language of poetry. And that is where elements of poetry come in. Because you will need to use poetry-related terms to discuss, to interpret, to critique poetry, so that you will not sound like a layman. So you need to know these terms so that you can use them in poetry discussion. That's why it's important that you understand elements of poetry. Every genre of literature has its peculiar elements. We have elements of prose, and we have elements of drama. But today, we are discussing elements of poetry, those terms that are used in the discussion of poetry, those technical terms, those technical linguistic resources that are used in the discussion of poetry constitute elements of poetry. So a poem is usually a collection of poetry elements. One needs to be armed with elements of poetry in order to effectively discuss poetry. If you don't know these terms, terms in poetry, you will not discuss poetry as an expert, okay? Because you don't have the right language. So we have a long list of elements of poetry that we are going to discuss in this lecture. Some of them are, excuse me, lines and stanzas, rhyme, meter, scansion, rhythm, persona, some people call it poet persona. Blank verse, free verse, run and line, or enjambment. So you have end stopped line, alliteration. Assonance. Consonants. Alliteration. Assonance. Consonants. Onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia. O-N-O-M-A-T-O-P-O-E-I-A. Onomatopoeia. O-N-O-M-A-T-O-P-O-E-I-A. Onomatopoeia. Imagery. Imagery. Symbolism. Turn and move. 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 Right? Turn and move. Turn and move. Let's begin with lines and stanzas. Lines and stanzas. Lines and stanzas are the basic organizing units of poetry. Lines and stanzas are the basic organizing units of poetry. So lines and stanzas are the basic organizing units of poetry. A group of lines makes up a stanza. Or you can say that a stanza is a group of lines. A stanza is a group of lines. A stanza is made up of lines that come together to form a division of poetry. A stanza is a group of lines that forms a division of poetry. A line is a word or a group of words that makes up a stanza of a poem. A line is a word or a group of words that makes up a stanza of a poem. We can have a situation whereby one line makes up a stanza. When one line makes up a stanza of a poem, it is called monostich. When one line makes up a stanza of a poem, it is called monostich. So monostich is a name called a name used to refer to a one-line stanza of a poem that is just one line. Then we have couplets. We have couplets. Couplet. That is a two-line stanza. A stanza that is made up of two lines is a couplet, or a poem that has two stanzas, or two lines, sorry. A poem that is made up of 2 lines is a couplet. A couplet is a stanza of 2 lines. So if you're asked, what is a stanza of 2 lines called? Because it's a couplet. Okay? Then we have tercet. Tercet. We have tercet. Tercet. Or triplet. Okay? In case in any of the poems that you are reading, you look at the stanza and it's organized in 3 lines, or the stanza has 3 lines, you can say that this poem has 3-line stanzas. And so it is called tercet or triplet. So the tercet is a 3-line stanza poem, or a stanza that is organized in 3 lines, tercet or triplet. Then you have quatrain. Quatrain is a 4-line stanza. You have quatrain. Quatrain is a 4-line stanza. Quatrain. Quatrain is a 4-line stanza. Then we have quintet or quintain. Quintet or quintain. Quintet or quintain. That is a 5-line stanza poem. 5-line stanza by a 5-line stanza poem. Then you have sestet. Sestet. You have sestet. That is a stanza of 6 lines. That's a stanza of 6 lines. Then you have septet. That's a stanza of 7 lines. Then you have octave. Octave. That is a stanza of 8 lines. Octave, O-C-T-A-V-E. That's a stanza of 8 lines. Then we have sonnet. Sonnet is a stanza of 14 lines. Then we have a villanelle. A villanelle. Villanelle is spelled V-I-L-L. A-N-E Villanelle is spelled V-I-L-L-A-N-E-L-L-E. That is a stanza of 19 lines. a villanelle, Villanelle, is a stanza of 19 lines. Villanelle. So there's another name for septet, which is F star stitch, which is a stanza of 7 lines. F star stitch. So when you pick up a collection of poems and you want to discuss the poem, you should not only say this stanza has 7 lines, okay? You should be able to use the technical term. You say the stanza is heptastich. Heptastich. Or the stanza is a villanelle. It's organized in quatrains. The poem is organized in quatrains. And the stanzas of 4 lines. Let's look at rhyme. Done with stanza now. Moving on to rhyme, we're making progress. So what is rhyme? Rhyme refers to the similarity or harmony in the phonetic shape of 2 or more words. Rhyme refers to the similarity or harmony in the phonetic shape, as in the sound, of 2 or more words. Phonetic shape. Sounds of 2 or more words. In other words, rhyme occurs when 2 or more words sound the same. 2 or more words sound the same. Like I and I. Okay? You know, when the reggae people used to say I and I. That's it. I and I. So poetry thrives on rhyme. Traditional poetry, or traditionally, poetry thrives on rhyme. Poetry thrives on rhyme. Rhyme is one of the sound devices in poetry. But it thrives on rhyme. That rhyme is one of the sound devices in poetry. It thrives on rhyme. Rhyme adds to the melody and harmony and music of poetry. Rhyme adds to the melody and harmony and the music of poetry. It makes the poem pleasing and entertaining to the ears. Rhyme makes the poetry thrilling, pleasing, entertaining to the listeners. So it's always good to be mindful of the sound that the words make when you're writing poetry. Because sounds also communicate meaning. And sometimes the sounds are utilized to rhyme, especially in traditional poetry, poetry of the olden days. in contemporary poetry, it's not compulsory to sustain a rhyme scheme throughout the poem. Most rhymes that you encounter in contemporary poetry are incidental. They're what? Incidental, in the sense that the poet does not consciously want to use them. They just happen, okay? And they don't happen throughout the poem, just once in a while. I would say it's incidental. But of course, there are other sound devices because poetry thrives on sounds. Okay? But to sit down and say, I want to make all my lines to rhyme, it is not done anymore in contemporary poetry. Okay? But in the poetry of old times, it was allowed. You were conscious to make sure that your poem rhymes a certain way, but no more. If a rhyme occurs now in poetry, it's incidental, right? It might be accidental, it might just be occasional, okay? Not all the time, not throughout the poem. So rhyme can be perfect, rhyme can be true, rhyme can be full, rhyme can be absolute, rhyme can be perfect, rhyme can be true, rhyme can be full, rhyme can be absolute. You can just choose one word. It's now, you just choose one word. Let's just say rhyme can be perfect. It's what we call perfect rhyme. It's what we call what? Perfect rhyme. True rhyme, full rhyme, absolute rhyme. Okay? This happens when the words, when two words or more words, when two or more words have the same phonetic shape from the beginning to the end. All the parts of the words sound the same. That is full rhyme. All the parts of the words sound the same. That is full rhyme. So this is full rhyme. This is an example of full rhyme. This is an example of full rhyme. I, see, everything sound the same. We. This is full rhyme. All the parts of the words, from the beginning to the end, they have the same phonetic shape. They have the same phonetic shape. And they have similar sound. Complete. That's why they are full. And then we also have what we call partial rhyme. Okay? This is what we call partial rhyme. Or relative rhyme. Partial. Partial rhyme. What's a partial? Partial. Right. Partial rhyme. Or relative rhyme. Relative rhyme. Partial rhyme. Or relative rhyme. So in partial or relative rhyme, some parts of the word sound alike, especially the ending parts. Some parts of the words sound alike. Not all parts of the word sound alike. Only some parts, especially the ending parts. Example is often and listen. Often and listen. Often and listen. Often and listen. The rhyme is somewhere here, but this part do not rhyme. This part not rhyme. Just here, rhyme. Often and listen. That's partial. So it's not all parts of the word rhyme. So we tend to have more partial rhyme in poetry than full rhyme. to understand. Okay? So, when poets practice rhyme in the poetry of old, they will sit down and select and cost study all the possible rhyme in the language. And they have it as a notebook, a reservoir from where they choose the rhyme for that poem's form. That was how studious they were. So it's not something like you just sit down, then just which word will rhyme with it. You have to sit down, and even all these rappers who are still rapping today, they have that rhyme book. Okay? Nothing good comes easy. And they know all the words that can possibly rhyme with this other word, and those that will never rhyme. It's study. You have to be studious. So when you see them rapping and then the words are rhyming and you're enjoying it, there's so much work that goes into it. You have to sit down and study to know which words will rhyme with which word. And have their notebooks where they take notes and curate those words and store them. Their rhyme books. So whenever you see a good song, a good rap, there's so much hard work that goes into it. It doesn't just come. So they know all the absolute rhymes, they know all the partial rhymes that can possibly exist in the language. Because they have studied them one by one. So that's an example of partial and full rhyme. And if you see other examples, you should be able to identify whether they are full rhyme or partial rhyme. And then we have internal rhyme and end rhyme. Internal rhyme. Internal rhyme. We have end rhyme. Internal rhyme and end rhyme. Internal rhyme occurs within a line of a poem. Internal rhyme occurs within a line of a poem. Within a line of a poem. Whereas end rhyme, as the name implies, occurs at the end of the line of the poem. Whereas end rhyme, as the name implies, occurs where? At the end of the line of a poem. So, end rhyme is more popular compared to internal rhyme. End rhyme is more popular compared to internal rhyme. So most of our activities will be centered on end rhyme. But we'll exemplify internal rhyme now. And end rhyme, of course, with one example. So you can just write one line, first line. Example of internal and end rhyme. First line. The cost of beer is so dear in my area. The cost of beer is so dear in my area. That's first line. The cost of beer is so dear in my area. Dear is so dear. What did you write? As in the cost of champion. Okay, then second line. My son is my son. He cannot take the rear. My son is my son. Cannot forget real. My son is my son. Is cannot take the real. So the words that interest us in this lines of poetry are area, sun, fear. Okay? Now, because dear and dear rhyme within the line of a poem, we'll call them internal rhyme. You get it? And because area and rear rhyme at the end of the line, we call them what? And because sun and sun occurs within the line of the poem, we call it what? Internal. So that's how we exemplify internal and end rhyme in poetry. Internal rhyme occurs within the line of a poem, and end rhyme occurs at the end of the line of a poem. Segment of that. So note that partial rhyme can also be referred to as imperfect rhyme. I want to call it partial rhyme, and call it imperfect rhyme. You can call it slant rhyme. Slant rhyme. Slant. As in slant. Rhyme. You can call it near rhyme. Near. You can call it near rhyme. Near rhyme. You can call it para rhyme. Call it para rhyme. Para rhyme. So you can see the terms that we have brought up so far in our discussion of elements of poetry which you have to grapple with, and which you might need in your discussion of poetry. More coming. So end rhyme can be further classified, people. End rhyme can be further classified. End rhyme can be further classified. End rhyme can be further classified into masculine rhyme, feminine rhyme, alternate rhyme, and I rhyme. Masculine rhyme, masculine rhyme, feminine rhyme, alternate rhyme, I rhyme. End rhyme can be further classified into masculine rhyme, feminine rhyme, alternate rhyme, I rhyme, and masculine rhyme is made up of a single stressed syllable word. Masculine rhyme is made up of a single stressed syllable word. Single stressed syllable words. What that means is that the end rhyme is described as masculine rhyme when it has one syllable, when the words that rhyme have one syllable and receive the stress in the poem. So it has to be one syllable and it has to receive the stress. So single stress, single syllable, single stress syllable words. It has to be single syllable. For instance, still is single syllable. Alright? And heal is single syllable. So the rhyme, alright, is this partial or full rhyme? Is this partial or full rhyme? Partial rhyme. This guy's a good class, right? And they will be called masculine rhyme if they receive the stress in the poem. Because when you're dealing with meter, there's a stress distribution. We'll talk about that when we go to meter. That will ensure that this word is an important word at the end of in the poem and receive the stress. So it has to be a single syllable word, like as it is, single syllable, and then receive the stress. So that's masculine rhyme. Then we have the feminine rhyme. What is feminine rhyme? So we can use still and heal in an expression in a poem to show how it qualifies as masculine rhyme. So in the poem you have, I listened, motionless and still. Line 2, as I mounted up the hill. I listened, motionless and still, as I mounted up the hill. I listened, motionless and still, as I mounted up the hill. So this is the rhyme. So I listened, motionless and still. So you receive the stress. It's not only single step, but you receive the stress. Don't worry, work this out when we talk about meter. As I mounted up. As I mounted up. Okay, let's just take the first line. Okay. I've seen that something is missed. And as. It is and as. And as. And as I mounted up the hill. So they receive the stress, and so that's why they are masculine rhymes. They are single syllable, but then they receive the stress at the end of the line. So that makes it masculine. So let's look at feminine rhyme. Feminine rhyme is made up of two syllable words where the first syllable is stressed and the second syllable is unstressed. Feminine rhyme has two syllables. The first syllable is stressed, the second syllable is unstressed. Feminine rhyme has two syllables. It's made up of two syllable words. The first syllable is stressed, the second syllable is not stressed, is unstressed. Another name for feminine rhyme is double rhyme. Double, double, double. 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 Because it involves the repetition of two syllables. A good example is ending and bending. Ending, bending, bending, ending, bending. So these are two syllables. The first syllable is end, the second syllable is in. The first syllable is bend, the second syllable is in. So bending, ending. Now, in this word, the stress distribution is stressed on stress. Stressed on stress. So you see that the first syllable that is stressed. End, bend, okay? So if you use it in a line of a poem, and the rhyme, you will describe them as feminine rhyme. Okay? Describe them as feminine rhyme. So you can find that in the line, as if a song will have no ending. And oh, the sickle bend. As if a song would have no ending. And the sickle bend. Is the attention. Alright? How do you write this word in full? Over. And so what is this called? What divide is this? Like this was called a single. Single. This is a single. Alright? And a single. So this word is syncopated. It's what? Syncopated. Right. So you check. Still part of poetry analysis. When you come across that, you said this word has been syncopated. That means the syllable has been reduced so as to fit into the maybe meter of a poem or the syllable structure of the poem. That has been syncopated by the use of a syncope. Syncope. Been syncopated. Okay, so this is feminine rhyme. Feminine rhyme. Let's just look at alternate rhyme. Alternate rhyme. Alternate rhyme. Alternate rhyme. Another name for alternate rhyme is AB rhyme. AB rhyme. So sometimes somebody might tell you, what is another name for AB rhyme? As I alternate rhyme. This is the type of rhyme that occurs in 10. It occurs in 10. It occurs in 10. Alternate rhyme occurs in 10. Meaning that this one rhymes, and then this one rhymes, and this one rhymes again, and this one rhymes again. That's why it's called AB rhyme. So if you are given a poem to to bring out the rhyme scheme. And then you have A, B, A, D. So you just have to put that as alternate rhyme. Okay? Then we have I rhyme. I rhyme. I rhyme. We have I rhyme. I rhyme refers to words that appear to rhyme but do not actually rhyme. They look as if they rhyme to the eye, right? When you look at the words that appear as if they rhyme, but the actual phonetic shapes of the words are not alike, not the same. Not alike, are not the same. But when you look at them, they look as if they rhyme. But when you investigate the actual phonetic shapes of the words, they do not rhyme. There's no rhyme. They just appear to the eye as if they rhyme. That's why we call them I rhyme. Okay? It's a bit deceptive. And there are words like that in this word. Okay? Let me give you examples of I rhyme. To the eye, they look as if they rhyme. But when you pronounce them correctly, you know that they do not rhyme. They do not rhyme. Okay? Alright? So this is major, and this is man. Alright? Alright? Man. Alright? Man of the town. I want to see the man of the town. I went to see the man of the town. Alright? That's how you say it. The man. And this one is major. This one is major. Major project. But this one is man. Man. Man of the town. Alright? The mayor of the city is visiting us today. The mayor of the city. So they are not the same. It's actually as if they rhyme. But they don't rhyme at all. That's what you need to understand. Alright, so one is major and the other is man. Right? Man. Then you have another example of I rhyme using these words. They appear as if they rhyme, but do not rhyme. Deception. Deceptive. They not rhyme. This is proof, this is laugh. Laugh. So they not rhyme. Prove, laugh. But they appear as if they rhyme, but they're not the same. Laugh. Laugh. Right? Laugh. Okay? When it's proved. If they were rhyming, you would have said loo, prove, and loo. But there's no rhyme. Okay? So, but they appear as if they rhyme, but they're not rhyme. Then finally we have these two words. An example of I rhyme. Okay? They don't rhyme, but they appear as if they rhyme. They only rhyme to the I. Right? And not when you pronounce the words. But this bow, this right. So, wow. Then we have rhyme bridge. Rhyme bridge. This is also known as identical rhyme. It's also known as identical rhyme. Identical rhyme. in which the rhyming elements include matching consonants before the stressed vowel. This is identical rhyme in which the rhyming elements include matching consonants before the stressed vowel. Rhyme rich is also known as identical rhyme in which the rhyming elements include matching consonants before the stressed vowels. Examples are found in words like night and night, night and night. Night and night. Sin and sin. A rhyme that involves 3 syllables is called triple rhyme. A rhyme that involves 3 syllables. Red, triple rhyme. All 3 syllables rhyme. It's called triple rhyme. So let us look at rhyme scheme and rhyme pattern. Rhyme scheme and rhyme pattern. Rhyme scheme and rhyme pattern. What is the difference between rhyme scheme and rhyme pattern? Rhyme pattern. What are the difference between rhyme scheme and rhyme pattern? Rhyme scheme, rhyme pattern, 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 rhyme pattern, pattern. Rhyme scheme is horizontal. Rhyme scheme is horizontal, whereas rhyme pattern is vertical. Rhyme scheme is horizontal, whereas rhyme pattern is vertical. Okay, so when we are talking about meter in English poetry, we have 4 types, major 4 types, which are iambic verse put, stochastic verse put, anaphasic verse put, acyclic verse put. Then we have 2 minor types, that's Spondee and Pyrrhic. Okay, so the iambic verse put is made up of 1 unstressed syllable followed by a stressed syllable. 1 unstressed syllable followed by a stressed syllable. The stochastic verse is made up of 1 stressed syllable followed by an unstressed syllable. 1 stressed syllable followed by an unstressed syllable. And then the anaphasic is made up of 2 unstressed syllables followed by a stressed syllable. And the acyclic is made up of 1 stressed syllable followed by 2 unstressed syllables. Okay? And we've given the words that they occur. Then we have the Spondee, which is double stress mark that occurs consecutively in the line of the point. And then Pyrrhic is double unstressed marks that syllables that occur in the line of the point. And I said that the Spondee and the Pyrrhic are incidental in the sense that you cannot use them, you cannot find them throughout a poem. You cannot find them throughout the poem, they occur occasionally. So you take note of that. So we are going to illustrate an iambic verse foot. We're going to illustrate an iambic verse foot. With this poem. To determine the meter of a poem, these are the things that you need to do. To determine if a poem has meter, one should first of all count the syllables per line for regularity in the number of syllables. One way of knowing if a poem has meter is if there's regularity in the distribution of syllables per line of a poem. A poem that has the same number of syllables per line is likely to have meter. A poem that has the same number of syllables per line is likely to have meter. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's regularity in the number of syllables per line. Alright? A syllable is uttered with one breath of the air. Okay? It's a unit of pronunciation in a word uttered with one breath of the air. For instance, in this one you have air, the syllable. Bat, syllable. Up, syllable. Straw, syllable. And, syllable. I, syllable. V, syllable. Bat, syllable. So you now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's how you count. That's how you count the syllable. Teacher is coming to school today. That's how you count syllables. All right? If all the lines have the same number of syllables, that means the poem has meter. That's how you determine if the poem has meter. So, this poem above has 8 syllables per line. So that means it has meter. There's an indication that it has meter. This may not always be the case. Okay? Sometimes the first line and the third line may have the same number of syllables. The second line and the fourth line may have the same number of syllables. That means there's still meter. I'll tell you how to describe such lines, how to describe such meter. The next step is for you to scan the poem for the distribution of stressed and unstressed syllables. Scan the poem for the distribution of stressed and unstressed syllables. Use your knowledge of stress to do that. All right? In scanning the poem, you have to take note of what we call content words and function words. Content words are likely to receive the stress, and they are usually nouns, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs. But function words are not likely to receive the stress. They are usually preposition, conjunctions, articles, and so on and so forth. Words like of, the, a, and so on and so forth. They are function words. They will not receive them. They are not likely to receive the stress. For content words like noun, right, verbs, adverbs receive the stress. That's one thing to guide you. Words like and might not receive the stress in the in the line of the poem, right? So, for instance, this one is already here, the A, will not receive the stress. But bell receive the stress, or does not receive the stress. So from there you can even see the pattern forming already. This is the content will receive the stress and will not receive the stress because these words are weak. These words are weak in where they occupy. So this poem reads, a belt of straw and high feeling facts. That's how the pattern goes. Right? High feeling facts. With coral crabs and amber stars. So already you can see that this is masculine rank. This is masculine rank Y. This is masculine rank, and this write this as masculine rank Y. But it's made up of one syllable and also receive the stress. It's an N rank, made up of one syllable and also receive the stress. As backs and stars are masculine rank there. But we're looking at syllable. So already we have our pattern, which is one unstressed syllable followed by a stressed syllable. One unstressed syllable followed by a stressed syllable. In that order to the end of the line. The same thing here. And if these pleasures may be moved, can live in my life. Alright? So this is what makes a poetry to be easily set to music. When a poem has meter like this, you can sing it. You can set it to a tune and it becomes a song. That's how your hymn books are sung. Right? So, because we have unstressed stress, that is what I am. Alright? When it occurs once in a line of a poem, we call it monometer. For instance, if we only had this in that line, we would have said iambic monometer. Because it's happening just once. If it occurs twice, that is diameter. For instance, if we had this and this, that would have been diameter. If it occurs 3 times, that is trimeter. So that would have been iambic trimeter. 1, 2, 3. Alright? If it occurs 4 times, that is tetrameter. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this poem is written in iambic tetrameter. So if someone said, determine the rhymes from the poem, you said, this poem is written in iambic tetrameter and rhymes A-A-B-B. If it occurs 5 times, we call it pentameter. It occurs 5 times. If we had another one here, then you have the iambic pentameter, but only have 4. So that's why it is iambic tetrameter. So you can have the same thing with trochaic monometer, trochaic diameter, the same thing with apestic monometer, and apestic trimeter, and so on and so forth. So because of time, we are going to pause there for today. When we come back, we'll continue with other elements of poetry. Because of time, we might need to have an extra class next week. So let me know when you are free. Have a very good morning.